Must be an emergency, maybe. Here, come on, hold on, I'm coming. Oh, your hostess confounded. There's a problem. Everybody rushing around nowadays.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Now point, chock up the voice that made you taught to pronounce. But here we rough and bounce with me, going topless in the baby blue. Got him a brand.
Hello, everybody. That's right. My name is Mark Anderson. I work with Fugazi Force. Which means that you guys always have to listen to me. So anyway, I'll try to make it short, intelligent, maybe even sort of like informative or touching. In a second, Fugazi will be up. Thanks so much for coming out, everybody. I want to thank you on behalf of Fugazi Force. This is the second show we've done at the Wilson Center.
And Mark, thanks so much for letting us play. Yeah, thanks a lot. The Fugazi Force get the show together and everyone can come out and so forth. The first song we're going to play is called
Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. It is Wednesday, August 29th at 7:05 a.m. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vish.
My name is Michelle.
And welcome to show number 118 of the Mich Interracial Morning Show. We're having a very special edition of the show today. We're devoting the entire episode, all 2 hours, it's only 2 hours, to Fugazi, to the band Fugazi. What you just heard, well, I don't know, I've been kind of wrestling with how I'm going to present all this information.
You're doing a good job so far.
Thank you very much. basically, here's the deal. On September 3rd, 1987, Fugazi played their first show together. They were a three-piece at the time. And the song that you just heard is the first song from that show. It's the actual recording of their very first show. It was called Song Number 1. And this took place at the Wilson Center in Washington, D.C. And so that's significant to people like myself. Needless to say, if we're devoting a whole show to Fugazi, the band means something special. It means something in particular to at least one of the hosts of this show, right?
Correct.
That's fair. Now, we're not going to spend too much time talking about what they mean because I think that is self-evident. It's apparent. It's redundant for me to go on about that. Needless to say, at the top of the show, I will say to you, people listening, that Fugazi are the most inspirational band for me ever. And I was very fortunate to see them many times in many different cities. And, when I say inspirational, I mean musically and as people. And yeah, that's why we're doing this. And we're not alone. We have some guests today on the show. And, well, one of them is Glen E. Friedman. He's a photographer. And he's about to release a book entitled Keep Your Eyes Open, Fugazi, and this is to coincide with this 20th anniversary of the show, the first show, their first show together. So Glen will be joining us in this hour. We're also going to hear from Guy Picciotto, the guitarist and singer of one of the guitarists and singers in Fugazi. Mm-hmm. He'll be joining us in the second hour. Beyond that, we're going to hear clips from past appearances by Brendan Canty, Joe Lally, and Ian MacKaye, the other three members of Fugazi, and who have all appeared on our show in the past. I'm oddly I'm slightly nervous. I don't know what it is.
I don't know why.
Well, it's just I put a lot of planning and thought into the show, and I just want to make sure it goes well. And I think it is. I think it will. I think it will. So that's it. That's what today's show is. If you don't know Fugazi, then you're gonna. I hope
you will after this show.
I hope perhaps you will learn something. We're going to hear music that from throughout their career. It's not really, you know what I mean. Their span together.
Yeah.
And if you do know them, I hope you're in for a treat. Because as much as we can, we're going to play a lot of obscure, I suppose, somewhat obscure recordings. They're all readily available to anyone who wants them, but unless you're a giant fan, you may not have accumulated all of these things. So I think you're in for a treat. And that's pretty much all I want to say. Michelle and I we're barely even going to host today's show. We're just going to tell you about the time and the weather periodically and interject with a few things about the songs we've been playing. And speaking of which, the time and the weather, as I say, now it is 7:08 a.m. in Guelph, and Michelle's going to give you a quick weather update. Okay,
it's currently clear outside, and you can see the moon.
Wasn't there an eclipse or something?
I guess there was an eclipse yesterday.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyways, it's 17 degrees currently. It's going to reach a high of 31 today, with the 40% chance of showers this afternoon and a risk of a thunderstorm. UV index 8 or very high. It's going to cool down a little overnight. Still a chance of showers, low of 15. Thursday, high of 23. And it looks to be the same all through the weekend, with Friday, Saturday, Sunday looking in the highs of mid-20s and glorious sun.
Excellent. Thank you, Michelle. All right, good. So we're going to carry on, as I say, with music by Fugazi throughout this hour and the next. And after this next set, we'll go to an interview clip with Brendan Canty, who appeared on the show in 2005. So right now, we're going to actually go to... I neglected to mention that the song that I mentioned that we started the show with is actually from the Fugazi Live series. And we heard from Volume 1, which is Fugazi, September 3rd, 1987, Washington, D.C., Wilson Center. We're going to skip ahead now, go to Volume 8. This is Fugazi, August 7th, 1993, also a show that took place in Washington, D.C., this one at the Washington Monument. And we're going to hear a song called Waiting Room right now on the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. Stay tuned. I think you'll enjoy today's show.
Mich, Vish Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. That was Fugazi from 20 Years of Discord. That song was called The Word.
20 Years of Discord, of course, the box set that came out in 2002. Not quite 20 years, but it worked out. It's out. It came out.
Came out, but it was actually not 20 years of them?
No, it is. I think they were originally planning to put it out during the 20-year anniversary, but were unable to.
Oh, so they put it out the year after.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Yes.
Yes, understood.
If I have that right, yeah. What was I going to say? I want to read from this is from the unreleased live. I get that thing there. I can't talk. You see what's going on?
You're doing well.
I will wake up very shortly. I promise you. It's very early. I think that's what it is, and I'm just tired. But there is a third disc in the 20 Years of Discord box set, and it's called Rare and Unreleased, and the word is from that disc. And I'm going to read you what it says here about that song in the liner notes. Let's see here. It was recorded December 1988 by John Loder at Southern Studios. The word is an outtake from the Margin Walker EP session, which was recorded at the end of a grueling 3-month European tour. The band was exhausted, and much of the recording did not go well. Only 6 of the 12 songs recorded made the cut for the EP. All of the songs except for the word were re-recorded at later sessions. It was one of the first Fugazi songs, but the band stopped playing it around the time of this recording. In fact, this recording may well be the last time it was ever played. So, it's a little bit of a thing. It's a rarity. We played a couple non-album tracks there. Before that, we heard In Defense of Humans from the State of the Union DC Benefit compilation. This compilation was released in 1989, and if you follow the back of the record, it says to benefit the community for creative nonviolence and the American Civil Liberties Union. There you go. It's a lot of amazing bands. For more information about these two releases in particular, and pretty much everything that we're going to play on today's show, you can visit discord.com, DISCHORD.com, and you can learn more about these things.
And we started it all off with Fugazi Waiting Room from the live series, and that was from August 7th, 1993, a show in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Monument. That's Volume 8 of the Fugazi Live series.
And the Fugazi Live series used to have its own website. Now it's also, all of it is available at discord.com. So check that out. We're going to go to a clip in just a moment from when Brendan Canty was on the show. But before we do that, Shell, is there anything you can tell us about the weather? I can tell people about the time. It's 7:23 in the morning. And good morning to you. Thanks for joining us if you are just, in fact, doing so. And we hope you're having an enjoyable experience thus far. Shell, what's going on outside?
It's currently sunny outside, 18 degrees. They're calling for a high of 31 degrees today with a chance of showers in the afternoon and a risk of a thunderstorm. UV index 8 or very high.
Yeah, it's good. Something.
Yeah.
Okay, so on September 28th, 2005, it was Michelle's birthday. And
That's right.
It was, yeah. And our guest on that show was Brendan Canty. Brendan is he's the drummer from Fugazi, and, he does other things too. But Brendan was on our show specifically to discuss the Burn to Shine DVD series that he and Christoph Green have put together. This is basically, I can tell you very quickly, the premise is that Brendan goes to different cities and they scout out homes that are going to be destroyed by the city or by the fire department or whomever. And they basically tap into the artistic community of that city, and they gather together, about 10 or 11, maybe 12. They gather many bands from that community, and each band goes to the home in question and plays one song before the cameras. And then the idea is that shortly thereafter, the home will be destroyed, and they capture. So they capture this day of music, and then they capture the destruction of the house.
Yeah.
So Michelle and I have seen the first 2 volumes, and I haven't seen the third one yet. 4 and 5 are in production currently, and I'll tell you that the cities involved thus far have been Washington, D.C., and Chicago, and Illinois, and I believe Portland, Oregon, and there's going to be let's see here, I believe there's Louisville, Kentucky, coming up, and I know Atlanta, Georgia is in the works. And so it's a very intriguing thing. And I think, actually, now that I think about it, the clip that we're about to play maybe even elaborates upon this at first. So this is from September 28th, 2005. This is Brendan Canty on the show. And notice how young I sound. No, it's only been 2 years. But I sound somewhat young. Don't you think? I don't know. We'll find out. Here you go.
Let's hear.
Here you go. And, I should point out, Glen E. Friedman will be joining us in about 5 to 10 minutes, too, to discuss his role, of course, in Fugazi as one of many gifted artists and photographers who have documented them throughout their existence. So stay tuned for that. But for now, here is a clip of Brendan Canty. Hey, you're listening to the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. Our special guest today is Brendan Canty, the producer of the Burn to Shine DVD series. Volume 2 came out last month, and its Spotlight on Chicago features performances by the Lonesome Organist, Shellac, Freakwater, Wilco, The Ponies, and Tortoise, among others. Brendan, I was having a conversation with someone just the other day about this series, and quite frankly, they didn't get it. They didn't understand what it might be, if there was some grand meaning behind it. So I wanted to ask you specifically if you thought there was any symbolism behind getting houses in particular, rather than any other sort of structure. Someone thought maybe, well, what if it was like a concert hall that was being torn down? Surely there's something like that. But I wonder if there's something specifically intriguing to you about having a house be the venue.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's something intriguing about it. I mean, people don't typically invest a lot of their emotional energy in a concert hall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whereas if you spend your life in a house, there's two aspects of it. I mean, there's the aspect of, I mean, I actually don't really want to imbue it with too much meaning, because quite honestly, I was like that person when I first was like, well, what is the relationship between these two things? And I was feeling it in some ways, and I wasn't feeling it in other ways, and it's like, okay, I mean, I kind of get it and I kind of don't.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, on a very acute level, I think that it's just simply a way to mark the time, to mark the date, and to say, and that it's basically saying, it's pointing, the fact that it's in a temporary structure points to the bands and says, okay, look, this is temporary also.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that's the meaning of, on a very acute level. On a very, having gone through the process of finding these houses, getting to know about the people who live in them, and getting to know about the destruction, I mean, getting to feel the weight of the destruction of these houses,
mm-hmm.
That process, I think, exists on a different plane for me at this point, where I think that I realized when I actually watched the destruction of houses how so much of our mythology, of the context and meaning of our lives is wrapped up in the acquisition of space, mm-hmm. and the modification of space, mm-hmm. and the buying and selling of spaces. And I mean, I've just become a lot more, I guess, architecturally minded at this point. I really am, and I really have become to believe that, I don't know who said it, but you say we define our spaces, and then we define our space, and then our space defines us.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really come to feel that, it really is one of the most profound aspects of our lives is how we identify ourselves with the space that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see these houses, that have people have raised their children in it, people have picked out every curtain, every paint color, every
mm-hmm.
tile in the whole house for 50 or 60 years, and then to have that just evaporate in literally an hour
mm-hmm.
or two is it's a pretty heavy moment, and in fact it's heavy enough that you don't really want to do it too many times, I would say.
Yeah, I have to say that I wasn't expecting to be as profoundly affected by those final scenes in each film as I was, because I'm not. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a very emotional guy. But to hear your description of the history of the homes, then to develop a relationship with the home based on, watching these performances, and then to see it destroyed, it's actually really, it really gets to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people, like, that's the most powerful aspect of the film, I must say. I mean, the performances are incredible and they're interesting for their space, but those last scenes, I can't even talk about them.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I felt that way, especially after the Chicago one. I was feeling like I'm completely ambivalent about the whole project.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's and I think that's the weight of it. And in a lot of ways, I mean, not to be too heavy-handed about the metaphor, but when you're where I am in terms of, like, Fugazi's not playing right now, and it's like, I spent a lot of years in that world, in that house. I mean, I'm still in that world to a certain extent, but I do realize how quickly all the things that make up your mythology can sort of disappear, in a blink of an eye. And so for me, that it all, is sort of me saying that, I think, is ultimately what it is, sort of over and over again, and not just about Fugazi, but about just all these other aspects of our lives that, as we move on, because, as you change your life, I mean, I have 3 kids now, and my life has changed in so many ways in the last bunch of years, that once you make that move, there's something's lost one way or another. I mean, nothing great comes without sacrifice.
Right.
And so you ultimately have to give up something. So it's somewhat, pretty much for me, that's I think ultimately what this series is about, is just appreciating these groups of people while they're around.
Right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are Fugazi from Washington, D.C. Thanks very much to Winnebago Deals and the Buff Medways for the good music. And thanks to you all for joining us here on the third night. Do we have anybody who's pulled a hat trick on this one? Oh, fantastic. The challenge is, how many of these songs can we play tonight that we haven't played over the last 2 nights? Bayou. We'll see what we can come. Are you ready? We're going to begin just within minutes or seconds even. Is there anything that anybody would like to discuss in the meantime? We went to a delightful Italian place called the Spaghetti House up near Tufnell Park. Tufnell Park Tube. Highly recommended Spaghetti House. Very charming, very cheerful. Have a nice time.
Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. That was Fugazi with Brendan Number 1 and also an intro. And that was live from a show that they performed November 4th, 2002 in London, UK at the Forum. And that is recorded as part of the Fugazi Live series, Volume 30. The last volume, so I guess the last live show that Fugazi has played thus far. And we are of course, celebrating the 20th anniversary of their first show, which occurred on September 3rd, 1987.
That's right. And coming up right now, very shortly, we'll be speaking with Glen E. Friedman, and you'll learn more about Glen E. Friedman in just a moment. Let's just go to another song. We're running out of time, in a way. So much to do in this show, and we hope you've been enjoying it thus far. We're going to go to the instrument soundtrack by Fugazi now. This was released in 1999 as a companion piece to the film of the same name, Instrument, the excellent documentary film, Instrument. And we're going to hear Lusty Scripts right now. And then Glen E. Friedman. Stay tuned. Seriously, stay tuned. It'll be good. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
listening to CFRU 93.3 FM, 250 watts of community power.
This September, the Guelph Jazz Festival and Colloquium celebrates its 14th season of rare, innovative jazz and creative improvised music with a bold thematic program entitled People Get Ready, the Future of Jazz is Now. Accenting some of the most exciting directions shaping the music in the new millennium, featured performers and panelists include Kieran Aluwalia, Amiri Baraka, Anthony Braxton, Nels Klein, Do Make Say Think, Mark Dresser, Exploding Star Orchestra, Charlie Hayden, Loca, Myra Melford, and William Parker, among many more. The Guelph Jazz Festival and Colloquium takes place September 5th to 9th at various venues throughout Guelph. Please visit www.guelphjazzfestival.com or call 519-763-4952 for more information. The Guelph Jazz Festival. The future of jazz is now.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. My name is Vish, and it's time once again for our weekly artist profile. This week's guest is a world-renowned photographer who has captured some of the most iconic pop culture images of the past 30 years. From his time as a youth in the 1970s documenting the nascent Los Angeles skateboarding culture in Dogtown, to covering emerging punk artists such as Black Flag, Bad Brains, and Minor Threat, and hip-hop groups like Run DMC, Beastie Boys, and Public Enemy, our guest today has been there to capture truly revolutionary moments in our culture. He has authored several books relating to his photography, including Fuck You Heroes, The Idealist, and he co-produced the award-winning skate documentary Dogtown and Z-Boys. On September 3rd, his latest book, entitled Keep Your Eyes Open, will be released, which captures the most artistically and politically important band of the end of the 20th century, Washington, D.C.'s Fugazi. The release coincides with the 20th anniversary of Fugazi's first show together. I'm very thrilled to welcome the author himself to our show today to discuss his remarkable new book. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in saying good morning to Glen E. Friedman. Good morning, Glen.
Good morning. Thank you for that nice introduction.
Oh, you're very welcome. I hope it was okay. How are you doing there?
I'm doing great.
Great. Now, Glen, for the most part, it seems as though your previous books have been anthologies of your work as a whole, not necessarily focused on one particular subject or artist. Can you please tell us more about Keep Your Eyes Open and how this idea for a book devoted solely to Fugazi came about?
Well, I guess the idea for it came about 4 or 5 years ago, but I have, my most recent art book was also devoted basically to one subject, but that was more of an artistic treatise. But the fact is that I have got more Fugazi photos than any other single subject that I've ever shot, other than clouds, which was the topic of my last book. But and Fugazi have been the biggest inspiration to me, musically and artistically, for many years. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, there would be a great opportunity when this date did come up. The 20th anniversary of their first show, I thought, they haven't played for a while. No one knows when they're going to play or if they're ever going to play again. Mm-hmm. Why don't we, get together all these photos and put them out in a book, keep this thing that they were doing going.
Mm-hmm. Well, the scope of the project is truly incredible. You've captured Fugazi during the whole of their lifetime together as an active band. Obviously, something drew you to shoot them whenever possible, and you mentioned that they're inspirational, but why is Fugazi so significant for you?
Well, there's so many reasons. Number one, because they're friends. They're just great human beings. Mm-hmm. Number two, they're inspirational just in, their music artistically. Every single album is natural progression, they're one band that has never let me down, from one album to the next. Every time, it's always something great and different, it's so rare in music that you could say that. Most people, their first album is their best album, or maybe they finally get their legs at, a couple albums in, but then, they become disappointing after that. These guys, their output was always incredible, right? Mm-hmm. And then what they do business-wise, and it's just, it's like no one else. They've had opportunities to do other things, to go other places, but they do it all on their own terms. And they've had opportunities to do it other ways. Plenty of people, keep it real and underground and DIY and whatever else you want to call it, but that's because they don't have any other choice.
Yeah.
Fugazi actually had a choice, I've actually, heard of many and been in a room when they were approached by, people with bags of money, who wanted to do things.
There's a moment chronicled in the book where you mentioned that in New York City.
Yeah, with the infamous Ahmet Ertegun.
Yeah.
And, here's a guy who signed, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, Led Zeppelin, and, so many other people. And he's way past his prime. But the people at Atlantic Records figured, well, we can't get anywhere with him. Maybe they'll be impressed with Ahmet,
Mm-hmm.
He's from Washington, D.C. as well, or he lived there a long time, so maybe he can have some way to get into them. And it was a pretty funny moment, actually, because he came backstage when the guys were pretty much just changing after the show with his wife. Just, they let him into the dressing room. It was kind of a peculiar moment. But true to form, when he talked about making a deal of some sort with them and offering them something incredible that most people would think was unbelievable, they politely brushed it off and moved the conversation towards things that they would like to talk about, like their shared love of Washington D.C.
Right.
And that conversation continued for quite a while, and I think he got the message that these guys are kind of untouchables, and that's very inspiring. I live my life in similar ways that they do, but as a band of musicians, their incredible integrity has, and the way they, do everything has really been, an incredible thing. Mm-hmm. That, like I said, continues to inspire me even after they're, in their hiatus or whatever it is that they're at the moment in time, and just, by listening to the records and, keeping this, legend alive as it may be with the photographs and with the records, it continues.
Right, exactly. Well, right now I thought we'd actually listen to a song by Fugazi, and Glenn, I was hoping you might pick one for us to hear.
How many songs are we going to get to play today?
I think we'll get to two. Well, we're devoting the whole show to Fugazi, actually, but and so we have been hearing quite a bit. But in this case, I think maybe two.
Oh, only two throughout the whole day?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. In this segment, I
okay. So why don't we listen to Margin Walker and Suggestion?
Sure. All right. Cool. Well,
off the first CD.
Sure. Well, let me explain this again, though. We're going to do one now and then one again later. Do you want to put them together right now? You understand? It's like we'd like to go to one song now, and then come back to you, and then go to another song.
Okay, well, let's just play Margin Walker,
sure.
And we'll pick something else later, I guess.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. We'll be back with more with photographer and author Glen E. Friedman, but first, here's Margin Walker by Fugazi from, well, I guess the full-length record, 13 songs, also the Margin Walker EP, on the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph.
I'm gonna
listening to the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. That was Margin Walker by Fugazi from the album 13 Songs. This September 3rd marks the 20th anniversary of Fugazi's first show together in Washington, D.C. And to coincide with this event, acclaimed photographer Glen E. Friedman is releasing a chronicle of images of Fugazi that he captured throughout their time together as a band. The book is called Keep Your Eyes Open, Fugazi, and you can learn all about it at Fugazi Book, that's Fugazi book.com. If you're just joining us, our special guest today is, in fact, Glen E. Friedman. Thanks again for being on today's show, Glen.
My pleasure.
We really appreciate it, I must say.
No, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Now, one of the things that strikes me about your work with Fugazi is the intensity and intimacy of the images. The live shots often capture these wild and ferocious moments, yet the calm portraits of the band also contain this kind of palpable tension, I think. In the book, you mentioned that Fugazi are quite photogenic, and you obviously enjoyed shooting them, but did they prove to be a particularly challenging subject for you as an artist?
Not really. I think we have, so much in common. My own particular ideals and our taste in music and our enjoyment of things in life, that actually it was pretty smooth sailing most of the time taking photos, and we have a respect for each other's work to the point where, they really let me do whatever I wanted photography-wise. I was able to, go on stage and be wherever I wanted to take photos. And we have similar sensibilities. I also didn't take inappropriate photos necessarily, too often. I wasn't someone who was just like prying into, weird personal aspects that are just totally unnecessary, and evasive and, and really don't make sense in the way I, try and document or, portray things in an artistic way.
Right.
When it came time to shooting some of the band portraits, sometimes that got a little uncomfortable only because you're focused so much on the individual's faces, and we only did those portraits just for the fun of it, and because, that's kind of what press demanded, and you wanted to, have some portraits of the band throughout the years, and sometimes that would be uncomfortable, as it is for anyone who's not conceited having their photo taken. I don't know how, most people don't like to be, most normal people don't like being photographed, in that way. So it was more relaxed. I mean, it wasn't when we were taking live photos, not that they were posing at all, because they weren't, and it really was just a matter of documenting and me working around that, my compositions, their live performance. But when we did shoot portraits, it could be, uncomfortable sometimes, and other times, we were more relaxed and things did, kind of fall into place a little bit easier. Right. But it was all about, creating a certain moment and perspective and, way to represent the band that they would be happy with, as well as myself.
Right. By the time Fugazi had come to be, I guess you'd been shooting photos for quite some time. Did they present any kind of artistic challenge in terms of they're very they can be quite frantic on stage. They're moving around constantly. Did you learn things as a photographer from shooting them?
Well, from the skateboarding days is where I think I learned how to capture action more than anywhere else. So shooting Fugazi or almost any band, it wasn't that hard for me to figure out when the peak moments of action were and to be able to be there to catch them.
Right.
But then to be able to compose them perfectly and to incorporate all the things that I always wanted to in a perfect Fugazi photograph or even any band photograph, wasn't always the easiest thing, and that was the challenge. I mean, with Fugazi in particular, though, because all the members of the band are so equal in every way, one of the, most important objectives to me was to portray everyone, democratically, equally, and, and in many of my photos, you will actually see all four band members at the same time, even if, they aren't all four singing at the same time. But, I like that aspect of it. I really enjoyed being able to show the whole band, rather than the obvious, just focusing on, the lead singer or the lead, any lead player at that particular moment. I mean, certainly there are photographs like that in the book where you only show one person, but there's a great percentage of them where you see the whole band and you see the audience and you see the room that they're playing in or the particular lights, and it's all very, organic, just like the band is, for lack of a better term. That's what I was really trying to convey with the photos a lot, because the whole idea behind taking these photos is really to inspire other people, to excite them about those things that are exciting me.
I must say that's something I actually always observed, and that's I'm not a photographer per se, but I've tried to, whenever I took pictures of Fugazi with, a point-and-click camera, it was always with that in mind, and I think I was, in a way, very influenced by your photos of them, like the idea of getting them all and the crowd, like making it truly like an interactive experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I guess you must be conscious of the fact that you've influenced so many other photographers since you've been around. I'm
not that conscious of it, but I hope that I have. You know, I mean, it sounds like from what you said that I'm doing what I'm setting out to do. You know, I am trying to show in my work, a way to take pictures that, really matters. It's not just documentation of a moment. It's really an appreciation of that moment and a way to share that moment and inspire other people with that moment. It's not just, oh, I'm there, so I'm going to shoot, and there, you should like it because I happen to be there at the time. I don't have any time for that kind of methodology.
Right. I can appreciate that.
It's supposed to mean something. That's why I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. I'm not lazy. I'm very serious about what I do.
Absolutely. No, that comes across. Well, finally, Glenn, I mentioned some of the artists you photographed in the past, and I imagine listeners are familiar with album covers you've shot, such as Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation to Millions to Hold Us Back, and Check Your Head by the Beastie Boys, among many others. Do you foresee yourself putting together another photo book focused only on one or some of these artists, or is this Fugazi book a rare exception?
That's a good question. It has crossed my mind. We'll see if any of these other bands over the, period of, the next, throughout our life, presents itself, makes it, something that's undeniable that needs to be done. I have thought of other bands that maybe it would be good to do, a photo book on, but at this point in time, no one has proven themselves the way Fugazi has and made it an undeniable, fact that it's something that I had to do with the archive that I had. And really, again, my archive is not as complete with any other subject as it is with them. But, you never know. I'd give it at least another 5 years. I have a brand new son, so I'm going to put a lot of time into that for the next 5 years and to take a break from making the books. And we'll see what happens after that.
Excellent. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I want to thank you again so much for joining us today, Glenn.
No problem. My pleasure.
I want to tell people that for more information about, Glen E. Friedman's work, they can visit burningflags.com. Again, Glenn's latest book is entitled Keep Your Eyes Open, Fugazi, and you can learn more about this at fugazibook.com. That's FUGAZIBOOK.com. Before we go, Glenn, I thought we'd ask you to pick another song by Fugazi for us to hear.
I'll tell you, I thought I was going to pick a lot more songs, but since we only have one more, let's pick Merchandise.
Okay, that sounds great. This is Merchandise by Fugazi from the record Repeater on the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph.
There's no words to describe how it feels, and that's why it's instrumental. Actually, I didn't ever write any songs for the words for this one. It just remains Joe number 1. So if you will allow us to indulge in a few minutes of this noise, we will indulge ourselves. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. That was Fugazi with Turn Off Your Guns. Before that, we heard Joe Number 1, both from Fugazi, December 28th, 1987, Washington, D.C., D.C. Space, Volume 2 of the Fugazi Live series. We hope you enjoyed both of those songs, and we hope you're enjoying, as much as I am enjoying, our Fugazi special today. 2 hours devoted to Fugazi. And, sorry, Michelle, I didn't mean to cut you off there, because I guess you should talk about the song we heard before those two songs before I go nuts and say other stuff.
Okay, we heard, before that we heard Fugazi from Repeater. We heard Merchandise. And that was a special request of our very, very special guest, Glen E. Friedman. Thank you very much to Glen for joining us this morning to talk about his new book. Check it out, fugazibook.com.
It is called Keep Your Eyes Open, Fugazi, and it's incredible. It's a marvelous, marvelous book. Great essay by Ian Svenonius, and lots of insight from Glen Friedman as well. So thanks a lot, Glen. We appreciate you being on the show. And lots more to come. We have Guy Picciotto joining us shortly. We're running a bit behind, so we're going to keep going. Right now we're going to play a clip from when Joe Lally of the band Fugazi was on the show. It was November 15th, 2006. He had just released his first solo record, and that's kind of what we're talking about, but within that we're talking about Fugazi. So check this out, November 15th, 2006, on the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph.
Do you think there's any significance to the notion that both you and Ian MacKaye of Fugazi, both of you have pursued somewhat quieter music since Fugazi went on hiatus? Do you think there's something significant about that?
I don't know. It may have something to do with playing extremely loud music for, 15 years. For Ian, a lot longer.
Right.
I know that I have, I know I'm going to hear this a lot, this question, but I do know that during Fugazi's writing, once it was all four of us writing, which was, after, say, Repeater, or after the first two EPs. Repeater was the first time, all four of us were writing. It really became, sonically in the practice space, it became somewhat of a difficult situation for me to write.
Oh, really?
I had to keep my ear close to I can't look at someone else's hands and go oh, they're on, they're doing this.
Right.
I have to hear it. I don't know that much about it to be able to just look and react and et cetera. So that was often, depending on our practice situation, it was often something I was pushing for, which was, hey, why don't we just start practicing with quieter amps, with smaller amps, so I can actually partake in this a little bit better.
Right. Wow.
Oddly enough, that never went over well. and in a way, I totally understand that, of course, because again, you just have to hit that volume to play the way you play. Ian, for example, never used, pedals or anything, so to achieve distortion, it's really about the volume you're at. So, so that was something I was always looking forward to doing. And then, frankly, when I started to really write, when I started to hear what this record would sound like to me after music was coming to me, because I demoed this very early on with Ian, just all of my ideas in a couple of hours. I just sort of spit out. And we were just playing with a drummer, a bass player, and volume was not an issue at all. And then, as I continued working on it, I spent a lot of time playing with someone's acoustic. It's not an acoustic bass, actually. It's just a small hollow body. It's a Hofner bass, the McCartney Beatle bass. And playing that acoustically in an apartment I was living in Los Angeles for a while, I just really was this is what I'm hearing. I just want to hear. This is also a reaction to me hearing, not necessarily hearing the kind of bass sound I wanted to hear in Fugazi.
Right.
Because live, my cabinet was my monitor, and I stood next to the drums, and the vocals, and the guitars were always loud enough, but the vocals were coming out of their monitors. And that's all the monitors that we used, was the vocal monitors.
Right.
For the singers. So it was our particular stage setup. So my bass was never to overwhelm, never to undermine anyone's guitars as far as the low-end frequency goes. The main thing was to be heard. So for me, then sitting with this Hofner, which is it's almost like an upright bass. I mean, that's the way those basses were built.
Right.
And the bass that I play now live is also a short scale with flat wound strings, and it's just, that's the sound that I am singing to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a sort of a thump clunk of an upright bass.
Right.
And really playing that, you know, hearing that in the apartment, it was all and I was like, this is like playing an acoustic guitar and singing. You know? This is like this.
Right.
And since no one else, well, hard to say no one else is doing anything because everybody's doing everything and there's just about nothing original that can happen anymore. But
right.
Anyway, it's what I hear, and so I'll follow that, you know. And so I've been trying to follow that, and it's, you know, it's changing.
Mm.
And I'm still trying to buy that Hofner. It costs a lot of money.
Right.
I'm still trying.
Right.
Paul McCartney apparently toured, and everyone bought them all.
Yeah.
So they're actually not even available.
Oh, no.
I'm waiting to have one shipped for like 6 weeks or something.
You were borrowing someone else's, I take it?
Yeah, it was just someone lent me theirs, and I was like, is it my imagination, or is this the greatest sounding bass in the world? And it's just where it's just kind of where my head was about it.
Right.
And the other thing about this record is that I like vocal. You can tell me to shut up at any point.
No, this is fine.
The other thing is vocally, I really love great singers. You know, I don't consider myself to be a great singer or anything. It's just that I love to hear. I mean, I love like Nat King Cole's voice. You know, I don't have a lot of his records or anything, but I appreciate that so much. There's actually a Brazilian woman, Elise Regina, and other Nana Kaimi. I don't even know how to say her name for sure. Brazilian singer, and like Mina from Italy from the 60s. I love that kind of vocal thing.
Right.
So maybe that's how a lot of songs, you know, I'm hoping that I could really sing someday. Or maybe I'm trying to play things that I can feel comfortable playing.
Right.
Till I croak, you know.
Well, no, you're selling yourself short. The vocals sound great. I mean,
thanks.
They always have. And on the Fugazi records as well. I mean, it just seems like an extension of that. And it sounds great. Don't sell yourself short, Joe. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just it's just when you start trying to talk about the things that influence you and the things that you really like, it's well, I think that's where it should sit. It's like those are the things that I really like, and so those are hopefully incorporated in what I'm doing. You know. Right.
Well, no, that's cool. That makes sense. Well, finally, Joe, I've asked Ian and Brendan Canty, again from Fugazi, about the status of the band in the past. Well, what's your take on the indefinite hiatus the band is on?
It's something that I'm still struggling with. It's really hard. It was nothing short of, you know, life-altering and devastating to just know that the band wasn't going to continue, you know, either practicing, playing, writing, going on tour, doing a show, where, you know, the focus of my life to go off of the band, it was really, really hard for me, and it's a hard thing, and then at the same time, I kind of needed that. It would have been great to say, take a break for a year,
right,
and then go back to it, so I could sort of figure out this other thing that I could do for any future breaks that we would have.
Right.
But now it's just that I can't really look at it any other way. You know, I have to look at it as if it's not there, because frankly, it's not there. It's not happening. And if I'm waiting for it, I'm gonna like self-destruct.
Right. That kind of negates my follow-up question, which is, do you imagine you four will ever create music together again?
I hope so. I mean, I felt like we really made our best record. I really felt like the argument was such a cohesive record. Like through and through, every song was kind of full, was like 100%. Not that other records were all bad or something.
No.
It's just that I really felt like, maybe I just felt like a new phase we were entering. We had hit a particular area that I wanted to continue exploring. You know what I mean?
Well, as a longtime fan, I must say I totally agree. I mean, I think the shows I saw on that last tour were among the best I've ever seen the band play, and I've seen the band several times in several eras, I suppose. And yes, that record certainly stands out as possibly the best one, I think, on some level.
Yeah, it's a hard thing not to be working on the follow-up for, you know. It's like, I mean, I suppose in one way it would be, but you know, you never look at it like, now that all these sort of years have been passing since it came out, begins to be like, what will we do next? But, in other words, the things that the four of us could do together, I just feel like, they just keep going. I mean, it's just kind of infinite, and I wish that I could continue to pursue that. So I'm ready, It's a phone call wherever I'm living, wherever I am. I mean, I'm ready. Phone call comes, I'll be there.
Well, what do you make of the actual categorization of an indefinite hiatus as opposed to we're not playing together anymore? Ian, when I speak to Ian, he's very adamant that it's an indefinite hiatus, whereas Brendan was like, Ian's kind of full of shit. Like very jokingly, but I think he was more realist about it, whereas Ian seems very, one of the quotes one of the things Ian said to me, I suppose, was, it's no joke, Fugazi will never die. It's an indefinite hiatus, and we're always in contact.
We do talk all the time. Everybody talks to each other. I mean, I feel like I know them better than members of my family, because I've certainly spoken to them about most aspects of my life more than I have with anyone else. All that time in the van, what else is there to talk about?
Right.
But everything that ever happened to you. So,
right.
So it's, we're all definitely in touch with each other. It's just, I don't know what to make of it. Like, in one way, it's like I just can't, it was so hard for me that basically I just can't think about it too much. It's kind of like I have to figure out what it is that I need to do, and I need to do music. It's still such a really important thing for me to gather with people and see music, or be playing the music, or working with somebody who's doing their music. It's like, if I didn't have people dependent on me, I might just be a roadie now when I wasn't playing. It's like
just the need to tour and travel and be around music.
Yeah, it's just everything that I was able to do with Fugazi was really part of what I want to do with my life. So it's just a big part of what I want to do with my life. So I really can't stop doing it, So I just have to keep working the best I can, and hopefully, if we ever are going to do anything, work on a record or anything, that what I'm doing now helps, make whatever when Fugazi's back in the studio or something, that I'm sort of better at it or whatever.
Right.
times you got no chance at all.
Mich, Vish Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. That was The Kill from Fugazi live in London at the Forum. This is the Fugazi live series, volume 30, from November 4th, 2002. Fugazi's as of last show thus far. And right now it's about 8:28 in the morning. It's 20 degrees outside and sunny. It's going to be a high of 31 degrees today. We might see some thunderstorms in the afternoon, so look out for that. And we're going to hear a few ads, I think, and then up next we're going to hear from Guy. So please stay tuned.
This September, the Guelph Jazz Festival and Colloquium celebrates its 14th season of rare, innovative jazz and creative improvised music with a bold thematic program entitled People Get Ready, the Future of Jazz is Now. Accenting some of the most exciting directions shaping the music in the new millennium, featured performers and panelists include Kieran Aluwalia, Amiri Baraka, Anthony Braxton, Nels Klein, Do Make Say Think, Mark Dresser, Exploding Star Orchestra, Charlie Hayden, Loka, Myra Melford, and William Parker, among many more. The Guelph Jazz Festival and Colloquium takes place September 5th to 9th at various venues throughout Guelph. Please visit www.guelphjazzfestival.com or call 519-763-4952 for more information. The Guelph Jazz Festival. The future of jazz is now.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Mich Vish Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. My name is Vish, and it's time once again for our weekly artist profile. This week's guest is a genuine hero of mine for his work in Washington, D.C.-based bands such as Rites of Spring and, of course, Fugazi. Fugazi played their first show together on September 3rd, 1987, and went on to significantly alter the ways in which people experience and play rock music. To coincide with the 20th anniversary of the band's first show, world-renowned photographer Glen E. Friedman releases his latest book entitled Keep Your Eyes Open, Fugazi, which captures the band from lively and intimate angles throughout every period of their existence. On today's show, we too are celebrating this milestone. Earlier in the program, we spoke to Glen E. Friedman. We've been playing music by Fugazi and hearing clips from past appearances on this show by three of the band's members. Right now, I'm very thrilled to welcome one of Fugazi's vocalists and guitarists to our show today to discuss this amazing new book. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in saying good morning to Guy Picciotto. Good morning, Guy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for being here. It's a real honor for us. Now Guy, I guess the first thing I want to ask about is your relationship with Glen. Just by the scope of Keep Your Eyes Open, it's clear that Fugazi and Glen have had a strong relationship over the years. Other than being the subject, did Fugazi have any role in how this new book took shape?
Well, not really. I mean, it really was Glen's baby, pretty much. But he did ask for advice along the way and commentary from the band, and he would send things down for us to look at. And I mean, he knew and understood that we were uncomfortable looking at like tons of pictures of ourselves, and I think that he kind of factored that into whatever we had to say about it. I mean, but we did do stuff like help him out, like he does a bunch of stuff in the book that he just wanted to make sure was correct, like listing the song titles chronologically instead of using page numbers, and so he checked with us to try to figure out the chronology of when the songs were written and things like that.
Right.
And we definitely lent him some criticisms and ideas along the way, but really, ultimately, anyone who knows Glen knows that Glen doesn't take direction from anybody, so it's definitely his puppy, man.
Right, okay. Well, when you look at it, what do you make of this book?
Again, like it's tough for me to it's obviously a different experience for me to look at it than probably someone else, but there's things about it that are really, I think, are going to be really nice for me down the line to have and to be able to show my kid and stuff like that. Like, pictures. It's really an amazing thing to have, and beyond just the photos and just getting to see the band through the years or whatever, which is kind of nice for me. It's like I also really enjoyed having the essay by Ian Sinonius, which I don't know if you've had a chance to read, but that precedes the book, and Glen's essay in the back. I mean, those things were. I mean, it was really, really nice to have friends writing about the band in a way that was different from maybe the way the band has been portrayed up until this point. I think that they both had really unique perspectives, and it was cool to be able to read that. So
it's pretty interesting that Glen's essay is obviously quite focused, and Ian's is just amazing. Like, it's just very tangential, and it just goes all over the place, but it's still focused on the band. They are pretty amazing, yeah, for sure. Now, as a longtime fan of Fugazi, I've always appreciated the way in which the band has been documented. Beyond the fact that you all made these great records, from recording the shows to the amazing footage that was on display in the film Instrument, and all the photographers who've shot you over the years. These things are always rendered with great care and artistry, it seems. Why do you suppose all of these unique people have gravitated towards capturing Fugazi over the years?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, we've been lucky. We're lucky in the friends that we've had. I mean, I have to say, Jem Cohen is someone who knew Ian since he was in high school, and we ended up working with him on Instrument, and he just happened to be close friends with the band. And Glen is someone, I mean, I knew Glen even before I was in Fugazi, just from his photography, seeing it on other people's records, and particularly from this thing that he put out back in the day called My Rules, which was like a fanzine of his punk rock photography. And I remember I was working in a record store when that thing came out, and it was really a one-of-a-kind thing at the time. Like, it was like a fanzine completely devoted to photography, and was just everyone, it was like one of those things that everyone had to have, and it kind of really set kind of the bar for how cool photos could look, and also just at a time when there wasn't information available on the internet, it was like you could look at all these bands and get a sense of them. Bands that I hadn't seen, live, I could get a sense of them from that My Rules fanzine, and not just, snapshots, but really great composition shots, the way Glen, only Glen can shoot them. So it was really awesome when I actually did get to know him and become friends with him, around the time when the band was starting, and he's just, I don't know, we've been really lucky. I can't, I'm not sure why these people want to hang around with us, or even, sometimes I find it funny that people find us even photogenic at all, because unlike a band like the Beatles, who within every 6 months they had a completely different look, it's like, I look at our book and I'm kind of like, hey, look, we're wearing the same t-shirts for 16 years, it's like, and no one has a mustache, but, that's really good.
That's true, it's true. So it's just kind of, as you say, it's just good fortune. You had these people that I guess were on the periphery, but also very involved in the end with how the band was.
Well, that's the thing with any group, and that groups aren't, I mean, groups are parts of scenes, and scenes are composed of people, and a lot of times people just look to the group, or they have a lot of, analysis or praise of the group, but really, it involves, that's why I was really excited to have Ian, Spiv, and Glen, and lots of different voices contributing to this book, because those were people that were part of the scene that we were from, and we were always felt really affiliated with communities, and that's a big thing about what the band was about, was community.
Right. And
Fugazi may have been, strictly us four as people, but we were supported and encouraged and inspired by all these other people as well. So it's that's one thing that I think is kind of cool about the book. It has a community feel to it, and the same thing with like the instrument movie. We tried to put lots of portraits in it, so people could see, you know, where we were coming from and like what was surrounding us.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that certainly comes through. Well, right now I thought we could actually listen to a song by Fugazi, and Guy, I was hoping you might pick one for us to hear.
Sure, let's hear Sweet and Low.
That makes a lot of sense. All right. We'll be back with more with Guy Picciotto, but first, here's Sweet and Low by Fugazi from the record In on the Kill Taker on the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. You're listening to the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. That was Sweet and Low by Fugazi from their album In on the Kill Taker. This September 3rd marks the 20th anniversary of Fugazi's first show together in Washington, D.C., and to coincide with this event, acclaimed photographer Glen E. Friedman is releasing a chronicle of images of Fugazi that he captured throughout their time together as a band. The book is called Keep Your Eyes Open, Fugazi, and you can learn all about it at fugazibook.com. That's FUGAZIBOOK.com. If you're just joining us, our special guest today is Guy Picciotto from Fugazi. Thanks again for being on today's show, Guy.
Sure, thank you.
We appreciate it. Among other things, this new photo book got me to thinking about Fugazi's relationship to its own history. In interviews and the way you spend your energy publicly anyway, Fugazi's always seemed to look forward rather than being particularly nostalgic about your work together. Well, first of all, would you say that's an accurate perception?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing being that, I mean, since the band, we stopped playing together in 2000, and I guess the end of 2002, beginning of 2003. So right now, we can't be too forward-looking because we have no future plans.
Right. Well, yeah, that makes sense. And you allude to the band's hiatus. There's been this since the band's hiatus. There's been the Fugazi Live series, which is for those who don't know, just a series of live recordings from throughout the band's career. And now this book. How do these things affect your perspective on the band, particularly now that it's inactive?
It doesn't affect my perspective, really. I mean, to be honest, it's like all of us are kind of engaged in so much stuff right now that we don't actually spend too much time, sitting around stroking our chins, like reflecting on the group. Like we've got other stuff going on. It's when we have these certain projects. I mean, one thing we are very serious about is tending to the group in a way that we think is respectful for the work that we've done and maintaining a standard for what we've done in the past, and not because things have, that we're not actually actively playing and recording right now, that we're going to kind of just let, the weeds grow or whatever. We actually are in touch with each other every week, and we're still self-managed, and there's still tons of Fugazi business to attend to all the time, and we're on it, and we're constantly in contact with each other about these things, and we're taking care of business. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we're also taking care of new business and new plans and new projects and doing that kind of stuff. So it's to me, it's like the stuff. Our interest has always been making things available to people who are interested in them and trying to make it as accessible and as high quality as possible and as respectful as possible. And I think that's what we've tried to do with things like the live series. And this book is not a self-generated thing. This is Glen's project, but whatever support we can give to it, we think it's cool because it's something that I think it helps. I think it helps give people. A lot of people, I think, still have curiosity about the band, and I think it helps supply information at a time when we're not out there working, and it gives people a chance to check out some amazing photography and read some interesting perspectives about the group, and I think it's important in that light.
Right. When you say there are weekly, maybe quite not week, it's not quite weekly Fugazi business, but what kinds of things are you guys working on when you communicate?
Well, like for example, this week, Ian is mixing Joe's new solo record, which I did some work on. So tomorrow I'm going to go in the studio with Ian and we're going to do some work for Joe's record, stuff like that. And then there's it's so, a lot of it's so mundane. It's just like an avalanche. Really what it is, it's an avalanche of crazy emails every day, and then do we want to, this person wants to use this for that, and these people would, a lot of times it's there's cool political organizations that want to use our music for something, and then that's something we have to go through, or there's just movie people want to use it. There's all that kind of stuff, and
there's something like this, obviously,
and something like this. And we do interviews, and there's we're all we're all, and even beyond just the band stuff, we're in touch with each other as friends because we've logged a lot of time together, and we're basically family to each other. So there's a lot of stuff to mull and chew and flap the gums about.
Right. No, I understand. And I gather there are no future plans. Is there anything more you can tell us about the hiatus that we don't know, or?
I probably know about as much about the hiatus as anyone else. Right. I think we decided at a certain point that we needed to take a break, and then that break just kept extending itself, and to the point where it's really people are just kind of busy and working on things. And it's the kind of thing I think that if there was active interest from the four of us to do something, then we would sit and talk about it, and maybe that will happen, but I have no sense that that's imminent in any way. So, but one thing people should know is that certainly there was never any acrimony, or it was more a question of having worked together for 17 or 18 years, we needed a chance to open some other windows and check out some different things.
Right.
And that's what we've been doing.
I hesitated to ask that question. It's just we've had, as I say, Brendan and Joe and Ian and everyone on the show, and I mentioned it, I asked, and you all have different perspectives on it, so I thought I'd ask you as well, and it was pretty much what I was expecting.
No big bombshells.
I appreciate you fielding the question. Well, finally, Guy, as I say, we've had Brendan and Joe and Ian on our show to talk about their new projects and records they've been working on. I've long wanted to interview you, but I wasn't really sure what you've been up to. I know you've produced some records for people, and Joe suggested you'd been recording. You yourself have been recording with a new band yourself, not just with him. And I also heard that you worked with a Silver Mount Zion on a new Vic Chestnut record.
Yeah.
Is this true? All of this true? Any of this true?
Pretty much everything you said is actually accurate.
That's good. I have good research.
I've mainly been producing records for bands. I've done records with groups like The Gossip and Blood Brothers and Casual Dots, and I've been producing records even since before the Fugazi hiatus. But I've been much more active with it now and really have been enjoying it. It's kind of a cool way to be vicariously a member of a bunch of different bands that you don't actually have to join. So it's been pretty awesome. And besides that, I did just played guitar on a Vic Chestnut record up in Montreal that we did at Hotel Tutango with a bunch of the people from Silver Mount Zion, and I'm going to tour with with Vic in Europe in November. I think we're going to put together a band using like Mount Zion people and me and Vic and go out and do some gigs, which I'm really, really excited about because I haven't actually toured in a long time and I really do miss it. So
yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that. And I have been recording and playing with people in DC for probably 4 years now, but it's stuff that I'm still keeping close right now because I haven't really. It's more like playing music for the sake of playing music and making tapes for the sake of making tapes, and I'm not sure I have so much stuff stacked up, and I don't know what it even is anymore. but
Joe had suggested that.
Yeah, it's an enormous amount of material, and I've been, but I want to, if I go back out or work with a new band or do something, I want it to be right. So I'm working on it.
Did Fugazi's hiatus affect your interest in writing new music? Like when it stopped, were you just like, I don't quite know what to do with myself?
There were so many things going on in my life at that point that was just one more factor in terms of like me having. It was a rough patch, a bunch of stuff I need to figure out. But I think that I never lost my interest in music and making music or playing music and writing it. I mean, I've written and performed, and I've actually performed live a few times, but I was doing a lot more improvisational stuff and like doing them in like working with improvisational musicians and playing like some European festivals and doing stuff like that. And I did one solo event in Belgium based around a film festival that Jim Cohen had done. So I've been playing sporadically, but it was not. The one thing about Fugazi was it was so completely, insanely full on, and when we toured, we were like, we would tour really lengthily, and it was a really kind of a once you get off that kind of manic horse, it was kind of like whoa, like it's like kind of like this time warp. It was like whoa, all of a sudden things were very different. So I've been playing, but it's been very. I would play like one festival here, then 3 months would go by and I'd do another one, and then I'd be off producing a record. It's like, it's kind of more, it seems less streamlined, but it's just more spread out. I'm just doing more different things.
Right.
It's kind of taking me in different places, and I'm not as focused.
Well, it'd be cool to hear that when Joe was on, I feel bad that I'm sort of suggesting that Joe is my main source for all this info. I'm kind of putting it all on him. I spoke with him once, and he just told me all this great stuff. But he just suggested that it was very the stuff you'd recorded. As you say, it was just a lot of it and fairly abstract and not necessarily song-oriented per se or whatever, like a song.
There's a bit of everything, honestly.
Yeah.
And I played with a bunch of different people, and I've done some stuff on my own. It's really a mixed bag.
Cool. Well, it sounds like it sounds interesting. I hope it sees the light of day at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you again so much for joining us today, Guy. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, it was very nice to talk to you, and hopefully maybe we'll cross paths down the line.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. We have sort of in passing in the past, and it'd be great to see you play and maybe talk in person.
Right on.
I want to tell people that for more information about Fugazi, they can visit discord.com, DISCHORD.com. Again, a new book entitled Keep Your Eyes Open, Fugazi, will be released on September 3rd, and you can learn more about that at fugazibook.com. Before we go for good, I thought we'd ask you to pick another song by Fugazi for us to hear.
I'm going to go with another instrumental, and I'm going to pick, Arpeggiator.
Oh, my goodness. Again, two of my favorite songs ever. I think that's great that you picked those two songs.
I'm reading your mind, my friend.
I adore this song. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Arpeggiator by Fugazi from their record End Hits on the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph.
On November 29th, 2006, Ian MacKaye was a guest on the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. And this is the last question I asked him.
Well, finally, Ian, I want to ask you about Fugazi. When I last spoke to you about the band's status, I believe it was 2 years ago, you'd suggested Fugazi was on an indefinite hiatus. I'm just curious, has that status changed in any way since then?
Not in my mind.
No? Okay.
No. I mean, everybody's doing great. People are all busy in their lives. They have family stuff happening and music stuff happening. Joe's actually on tour in Brazil right now.
Yep.
Brennan just finished producing a new Ted Leo record that's just fantastic sounding. And
oh, great.
And he's working on some video stuff. And Guy he produced his Blood Brothers record. And you know, everyone has been really, has been busy. Everyone's in touch, but the band is essentially on indefinite hiatus, which it means exactly what it says, an indefinite hiatus. And I think that I understand that people are like, well, why don't you just call it one way or the other? But it's because it doesn't, in my mind, it does not, it would be a lie to suggest that, you know, or for me it's not true that it's just one way or the other, because it's not. It's like we are actually connected, and we are a family, and at some point in the future, should we decide that we want to play music in one form or another, then we should be able to do that without having to contend with the reunion sort of context. You know, that we should just be able to play music for whatever. And also, the hell with having to formalize everything. Enough press releases, frankly. You know, why can't people just be?
Right.
And then, there were circumstances in our lives in the mid-'80s that allowed us to connect and to make music together. There were circumstances in our lives that for 15 years allowed us to work the way as hard and as much as we did on it. And there were circumstances in our lives in the early 2000s that made it impossible for us to continue working at that time. So who's to say what the circumstances, where they'll take us, or what will happen in the future? Not me. Right. So I don't see any reason to declare one thing dead or another. Now I can tell you, in terms of say Minor Threat, that band broke up for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just not the way I feel about Fugazi. Just too much love in there.
When Joe Lally was on our show recently, he'd suggested that he was hopeful the band would play together again, and he even said, and the quote was, "If the phone call comes, I'll be there," which kind of begs the question, who has to make that phone call?
All four of us.
Right. I was curious as to why when Brennan was on, he kind of said the same sort of thing, he was just...
Yeah, but I think it's because it becomes a little prurient.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it anybody's business?
Right.
You know, I mean, I feel like we've been really straight up about it. I think that it's just that we're just telling the truth. We don't know.
Yeah.
So why do we have to, look, I can assure you and those listeners out there who are that concerned, who are very concerned about the status of Fugazi, that should we play a show in Guelph, we won't keep it a secret. You know?
Right.
Should we decide to put out a record, it will be available.
You're right, there's kind of this weird panicky, I guess nervousness of, when is it going to happen kind of thing.
But why? Who cares?
Yeah, you're right.
If anything, all that people should care about is that, I would hope that they would be thinking well, we want Fugazi to be healthy, the four members of Fugazi, since ultimately it is an entity of four people. And it is a living thing. The four of us are alive, and that you would want everyone to be well, and you would want the band to be happy and healthy, and if that meant making music, that's great. If it means not making music, that's great too.
Right.
But I feel like that the band played solid for 15 years. We put out a lot of records. We worked really hard. I think it was amazing, and I feel like that anything is possible. But I don't if you said to me do you want that to happen, or I don't want anything to happen except for this particular interview at the moment. That's what that's what's happening for me, and I'm not gonna I don't rue. I'm not nostalgic. I'm not sentimental. Of course I love those guys. Of course I had some incredible experiences on tour with them, and playing shows. I also had incredible experiences playing kickball when I was 5. It doesn't mean that I should go out and try to get up all my fellow 1967 kickballers together and try to recreate that. It just means that like life is full of gifts, and I feel fortunate to experience them. And if down the road that things line up in a way that we decide that there's music to be made between the four of us, that's great. I want to be able to call them up, and I want to be able to sit down in the basement with them and make that music without having to like dress it as some kind of reunion.
Right.
All of that.
Do you think that's inevitable among the public? I mean, do you think people will just be like, they're back?
Vish Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. We are running out of time and thus truncating
songs.
Yes. That was Ian MacKaye from our show when he appeared on our show November 29th, 2006 to discuss, among other things, his band Fugazi. We hope you've enjoyed our show today. We've, I didn't get to everything I wanted to get to. I was a bit overzealous with my set list, but I hope it gives you an even representation of what the band was about. Certainly the best live band I've ever seen, and, well, obviously my favorite band ever. So what else can I say? Thank you to Ian and Guy and Joe and Brendan, and today Glen E. Friedman, for joining us all in a way today. Guy and Glenn in particular, thanks for making the effort for being on the show live. And then, what more can I say? For more information about Fugazi, please visit discord.com, DISCHORD.com. And for more information about Glen E. Friedman's new book, as I say, fugazibook.com, FUGAZIBOOK.com. We're going to leave you, first of all, I want to tell you that Tastes Like More is up next on the show, on the station. The phone is ringing and it's distracting me. And it's Glacio de Fluvio's birthday today, so happy birthday, Glacio.
Yay, happy birthday.
You're going to have a great show, I'm sure. Next week on the show, guitarist Nels Klein will be joining us, and we're very excited about that as well. So stay tuned. Nels Klein, of course, in town for the Guelph Jazz Festival, which begins next week. And
next Wednesday.
I think we're going to devote our whole show to the Guelph Jazz Festival. A couple of specials in a row, so stay tuned for that. Again, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to leave you with the last song played at the last show to date by Fugazi. This is an actual recording from November 4th, 2002 in London, England, at the Forum. This is Glue Man on the Mich Interracial Morning Show on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye for now.